there's a lot to unpack with this. I don't even know if there's enough on this interview to. And you can talk to Devontae. Actually reminded me the last time I saw him. So okay, never heard before. This is the real story. So this is what really happened when Jodeci first came. And they were living in the Bronx, and then I would just look out for the different artists and different groups because I was just friends with everybody, and I would try and help whatever artists. So one day I went to see them, and they were in the Bronx, and
at Andre's old apartment.
And they needed to get to the studio, so they came out of they were in the projects. They came out of the projects. They came down. They had SP12, big keyboards, everything. So I was thinking to myself, I called, and they didn't have a phone either in there. So I called Bob Celestin at Uptown. I said, what are y'all trying to do? Y'all trying to get these guys robbed? I said, you got them in the projects with, like, at that time, SP12 was like $2,000-$3,000. Keyboards were like $1,000. And I'm like, they in the projects with a bunch of expensive. And they don't even have a phone. So if something happened, they have to run somewhere and catch a phone. So I said, what are y'all doing? Y'all need to get them out of here. So they ended up agreeing with me. They moved them to New Jersey. And then they got them a house. They rented them a house in New Jersey. And then I would go and work with the group all the time as far as not work with them musically. Let me rephrase that. I would go and see them, just hang out with them. Just from a friend standpoint, because I lived 2 towns away, probably 15 minutes away from where they were. And I would come, just get them, take them to get something to eat, take them to get haircuts, whatever it was. But there was a time where Andre, I don't know what was going on with his deal with MCA, but he was like, and I had bought Al to Andre. And Andre had always said, he had always thanked me for bringing him Al, and he was going to do something for me. I don't know what it was, what was in his mind. But then I found out. He's like, okay. He's like, I got too many artists on MCA, so I'm going to do a production deal. I'm going to put Jodeci with you and set you up to do a production deal. It's still going to be an Uptown deal, but I'm going to let you have your own deal somewhere else. And he told me he was going to basically let me work with Jodeci. Now, at this time, I was still on the label or whatever. So, long story short, Jodeci was supposed to actually be my group. Devontae will confirm this if you ask him. He just said it to me last year when I saw him. He said, Eddie, remember we were supposed to be your group? And then he broke the whole thing down. And what happened was, at the last minute, Guy ended up leaving Uptown. They were still on Uptown, but they were kind of not officially day-to-day listening.
G. Griffin got in the middle of it and effed it up.
The whole thing. So then Andre decides, he changes his mind at the last minute. We're gonna put Jodeci on Uptown. So he had kind of already told me he was gonna have me work with Jodeci. So of course I was upset and I was mad. I said, okay. And so that's probably why Jimmy thinks that Eddie was gone and had moved on, because at that point I was like, I was always the company man. I just did everything for Uptown. I helped everybody. Get their stuff set up, their drum sounds. Whether people if they had money, didn't have money, I did remix it. No matter what the budget was, if there was no budget, I was just like, we gonna win by all means necessary. So this was kind of like my thing where Andre was saying, I'm gonna give something back to you for always just being somebody that was dedicated to making sure Uptown was successful no matter what was happening. And then he pulled that back. So I felt burned. So that actually is when Eddie F and Untouchables, then I had never really worked outside of Uptown. And then I did Johnny Gill remix, Rub You the Right Way, TLC, Ain't Too Proud. I started doing all these projects outside of Uptown. And I didn't work with Uptown for maybe a year. And that's probably why Jimmy feels like when Jodeci came, I went away. But what really happened is when it came time to do Jodeci's project, Andre ended up pulling back the deal and then saying we just gonna keep them on Uptown. And then I was kind of pissed off. And then I don't know what happened. I guess they said, well, Eddie's not gonna do it, so we're gonna have Al do half the album. And where this is going is, so when you ask me about the records and the up-tempo side, and this is the part that nobody knows. I never even said this to Jimmy, and he's probably just finding this out for the first time. What was supposed to happen is Al was probably supposed to produce the ballad side, because he was very good at doing really thick, rich, great ballads, Killing Me Softly. You know, he did all these like dope productions type ballads. I was supposed to work with them and do the up-tempo side, but I was not there. So that part didn't get developed the way it was supposed to at the time. And so if you ask me as a producer, that's why I think the up-tempos didn't have the full, they were there, but they just weren't fully all the way developed. There would be little tricks and little things you would do, things that Teddy may have taught us that then I ended up teaching my guys, or drum sounds that we ended up using, that we circulated. And that's kind of what happened. And that's why the up-tempo side was a little bit lighter, I would say. The music was there. From a musical standpoint, it was there. But there's something about New Jack Swing, hip hop, R&B. Everybody thinks that it's something. Now it's normal because everybody mixes hip hop and R&B. But back then it was hard because you had certain machines, certain sounds, certain textures, and there was a certain way that if you didn't sound a certain way, it would be kind of like a little light. It would be a little fake, you know. It was only within us. It was only within really Uptown. We kind of had the sound that was the quote unquote official sound. Then it ended up expanding to Rodney Jerkins and Timbaland and Pharrell, and then, you know, and then after that, then hip hop, R&B just spread everywhere. But so that first album, that's the story of that first album, and that's why the up-tempo side probably wasn't as polished production-wise, because I was supposed to help them with that, but things kind of went left. And that's the, and Devontae, you could confirm all this with Devontae.
You remember when we lived in Cross Creek? You bought a place in Cross Creek. I bought a place in Cross Creek, and Andre moved Jodeci right behind Cross Creek on Jones Road in the house. So that they would be, you know, my daughter. They would come to my house early in the morning and eat my daughter's cereal, because they haven't had their record out yet and they didn't get their advance yet, but they was in that house going buck fooly. And they gave more parties than anybody with no money.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between
us, for even loving us,
on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No, okay, you okay.
They don't understand what Jodeci Boyz and men all
Play it.
These guys, they all work together.
I mean, I love all different genres.